Live from Austin, Texas, you're listening to the Next 15 Podcast Show with Trey North, a live podcast covering random topics such as relationships, current news, and everyday life issues, along with my co-hosts, Chris McAllister and Andrea Clark. Get ready for the next few minutes as we hope to make you laugh, educate, and inspire you. Welcome to the Next 15 Podcast Show. This is Trey North. It's Friday night, 7 o'clock, and you know what time it is. It's time for another episode of the Next 15 Podcast Show, and I got my co-host, Chris McAllister.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Listen, I am back in the studio, and it is good to be back in the saddle.
And we got over there in the chat room, it's the beautiful Andrea Clark. What up, Andrea?
What up, everybody? I can't see your face, so just hit me up in the place.
Yo, but we're not alone. We all are in the studio. It's like family up in here. You know what I'm saying? We got a very special guest co-host tonight. He's from Tyler, Texas. He's a husband. He's a father. He's a pastor. But most of all, he's a close personal friend of mine. He was on What Guys Want episode podcast. If you want to go back and listen to that, we welcome Pastor Dwayne McAllister in the building.
Yo, what's up? I'm so excited to be on this thing with you guys tonight, man. I'm so amped up right now, so y'all gonna probably have to tell me to calm down. I'm excited to be on here with y'all.
Man, we are so elated to have you here, bro. Oh man, this is what I've been wanting for about 2 years now.
Yes, sir.
We're still missing a couple of guys, but listen, we want to just give a shout out to everybody that's listening over there on the Spreaker app. I can't see you right now in the chat room. However, if you're listening on next15podcast.com, thank you so much for tuning in. And to our future downloaders who'll be downloading this on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, thank you so much for downloading right now. I see Shamika Yarbrough in the chat room. What up, Shamika? Thank you so much for tuning in. Guys, it's time to take care of business tonight.
Oh yeah,
all
man.
right. Tonight's podcast is all about life and experiences and the stuff that we face. Some of the good, some are bad. When life is good, everything seems to be in order. But what happens when we face challenges that offset that happiness and things become hard to deal with? Well, tonight we discuss the various doors that life takes us through and how to identify certain emotions and situations that can lead us astray from our path in life. It's all about transparency tonight. And if you want to get in on the discussion, Andrea will be in the chat room to share your ideas and your thoughts, or you can call in at 512-827-9164. Again, that number is 512-827-9164 to our podcast line and speak with us directly to participate in this inspirational episode. Welcome to the Next 15 Podcast Show with Trey North, where we hope to make you laugh, educate, and inspire you, and it all starts now. You're listening to the Next 15 Podcast Show with Trey North on Spreaker.com. All right, guys, let's get into it. Y'all know what the topic is. It's doors. Doors. Who gonna start this bad boy off tonight?
You know what? I'm gonna start it off, man.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, man, by the way, it's good to have you in the studio,
Hey, it's
bro.
good to be home. You know what I mean? You know, it feels so good,
it's
everybody.
Like 6 months, man.
Yeah. You know what? We'll try to make it happen a little bit more often. But yeah, man. Tonight's titled Doors. And there's so many ways we can go with this, but when we start talking about doors, the number one thing that comes to my thought process, man, is really how many doors, that we've missed in life. Do you know what I mean? There are so many doors that we should have taken, but due to fear, due to anxiousness, due to just, not knowing, and not being taught. Here's the thing. A lot of us haven't been taught how to walk through open doors.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know what I mean? A lot of us just haven't been taught that. And so, we have doors that we're standing at and we're asking God to open up a door, but the door is already open. It is your responsibility to walk through it. And a lot of us just haven't made it to that level in our life that we understand how to walk through an open door, because an open door sometimes is challenging.
I like that, man. A door is an entrance, bro.
Yes.
You have to enter before you exit.
Yeah,
You can't exit before you enter.
That's good,
You know what
bro.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
that's good.
when I think of doors, man, I think of like passageways, transitioning.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? From one place to another. I
Yeah.
don't know. What you got on that, Dwayne?
I mean, no, I agree wholeheartedly with both of you guys, and like Chris was saying, you know, we have to know how to walk through our doors, you know, and I think the biggest thing when I was thinking about doors is like doors can be either good or bad, and sometimes depending on your perspective of what you think that door is going to be whether you enter it or not.
Oh, that's good.
You know what I'm
man.
saying? Based on like, okay, hey, I see this potential opportunity, but like to your point, Chris, what if it's too much? What if that door is too big for me? You know, what if I can't handle what's behind that door? You know, and that fear can come up and stop a person, or there could be a person that's gung ho about whatever is presented by that door, and guess what? They're gonna try to open the door on their own instead of letting God trying to open the door. So sometimes we can prematurely enter a door that maybe we should have held off on. So
that's
you know
so
what I mean?
good.
And then you'll think, okay, yeah, it was a blessing, but it just wasn't the blessing right now at this particular moment because you're not ready for that door. So
Right.
Oh, that's good.
Right.
That's good. That's good. When I think about an open door, man, I think of like what's gonna lie ahead. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
that, like opportunity and transition. Like I like the way you put it, Dwayne, about opening doors maybe prematurely, you know, and too soon. But what about when you don't open that door? You know what I mean? Like you never know. You never know what opportunity lies ahead if you don't stretch your faith. You know what I mean?
So let me give this, and I know this is the preacher in me, I guess, is coming out. You
Yeah,
know what I
go
mean?
ahead.
I think about when you said that the children of Israel walked around the mountain for 40 years. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't go into and they didn't do or didn't hear what God had for them. So they spent 40 years of their life walking around this mountain that should have only took maybe 4 years. So like you said, so how long have we spent in our lives just kind of going around a particular mountain that shouldn't have took that long, but because of either one, our fear, two, our disobedience, or three, just us not being able to really hear clearly what God is trying to say. It just makes me think about a lot of things that I had to endure in my life that maybe I didn't have to go around so many times.
Man, it's almost like self-sabotage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Yeah, because I mean, it does take faith to a lot of people are afraid of change, you know what I mean? Or they get to that complacency where, you know, they don't have the faith, or they don't want to move. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
They might have the faith, but they're comfortable. And when we get comfortable, we won't move. You know what I mean? We won't really exercise the faith that God kind of faith that we're supposed to have. And a lot of times it's fear.
Yeah.
A lot of times most of it is fear, you know, of the unknown. So
You know what? Let me say something on top of that. You talk about, because it's a lot of people deal with fear, and that's why they don't walk through the door. But let me put this on top of that, and there's a reason. A lot of times there's a reason for that fear, because a lot of people have walked into doors that wasn't presented by God. You know what I mean? And the actual doors that they've walked through has caused nothing but problems and, you know, heartaches in their life. And so we fail to understand that, you know, Satan opens doors too, and as distractions and as misguidance. And so everything that glitter isn't gold kind of ordeal. And so a lot of people have walked through doors and, you know, have found themselves in a situation that, you know, only God had to bring them out. You know, now they're fearful of walking through the wrong door again.
then that's good. I thought about like a closed or a locked door that represents like kind of like a dead end, and that's kind of where the enemy wants to trap you. He wants to put you in the door and lock it and put you at a dead end where you're not going anywhere, and just pretty much cause you trauma. You know what I mean? And just where you battle the same thing. I mean, how many times do we battle the same thing over and over again? Doing the same thing. Of course, we know the definition of insanity, but I'm just saying, like, you know, that's where the enemy wants us, you know, in a closed door. And once he gets you to walk through that door, because again, you got to go through the door before you can leave the door. He'll have you going through other doors. That's just like here, coming into the studio. You had to get in one door to get into the studio. But inside the studio, there's several doors in here. There's a restroom door, there's a closet door, there's a bedroom door, a terrace door, you know what I mean? And sometimes the enemy, that's what he'll do. He'll get get you in one door and then he'll lead you down into another door.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a lot of that, and just kind of segueing into it, a lot of it is because of emotional mismanagement. You know what I mean?
Man, that's so good.
And he'll take one trauma experience, let's say anger.
Yeah.
And he'll take anger, and we talked about this.
Yeah.
And he'll turn anger into 2, 3, 4, or 5 different doors. Instead of you going back and dealing with anger, shutting that down and getting out of there, you go to depression, you go to alcoholism, you go down these different doors, and that's where the enemy, he's locking the doors. As soon as you go down one, he'll shut that and he'll try to lock you up in that, and then you'll come back around and fall into another trap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you know what, though, too, in addition to that, Trevor, man, because that was a great point. I think, too, sometimes we don't know how to. We haven't been trained as a human race. I'll say it that way. We haven't been trained how to deal with the attacks of the enemy. Most of the time, people see it as Trevor's attacking me or Chris is attacking me or Andrew is, but they don't understand there's a deeper issue. So I mean, like we have to understand how to handle those type of situations so you don't go down those doors. If my father or mother never showed me how to deal with something like that, I'm not going to know. And the enemy's biggest weapon that he has is ignorance. He blinds the minds of people so that either one, you don't think it's important, or two, you never have been taught or trained how to deal with it. And sometimes we give a whole lot of credit to the enemy that really shouldn't go to him, because now all he did was planted the seed. Right. You were the one that incubated it, and you the one, you kept hearing it over and over again. Like, well, why would you go through that door? Like that door, like, like some people could discourage you. Why would you take that promotion? Right. Have you ever been to college? Right. Do you got a degree in that? Right. Not knowing that, like, what God has put in you is greater than, that situation. And that could be a door that God is opening for you, but you don't take it, to your point, Chris, because of that fear that's inside of you, or depression. Like, well, I tried this the last time and I failed miserably, Wow. So I just kind of wanted to say that, like, we really have to understand who we are. You know what I'm saying? Like, understand who we are. Yeah. But a lot of times I don't think we really understand who we are. For example, even in marriage. I talked to a person one day last week, and I don't mean to take up the time.
No, go ahead, bro.
I talked to a person one time last week, and I know most people that's married or maybe even a relationship, my understanding, you could be in a relationship. You could be sleeping in the bed with your wife or your husband, but you could still feel alone. Right. You know what I'm saying? You could be in a relation, like you could talk to this person every day, you could sleep with this person every day, you could, you know what I'm saying, go to breakfast and lunch with this person, but still internally feel alone. And like you said, with that door, going through those doors, it could make you feel depressed. Yeah. Because hey, my wife or my husband doesn't understand what I'm going through, but you don't know how to communicate that. Yeah. That's like you said, emotional door, Trevor. Yeah. That's what that's that emotional door. And I ain't gonna lie, I've been in places like that. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
I we all have. I mean, again, that's where the enemy goes, and he goes from one door to another. I mean, like, that you're like you said, I'm trying to find the right word. Just lost my train of thought, but that insecurity is a door, and insecurity can go so many ways. Like you're saying about, why would you take that promotion? Now fear has set in. Yeah. Now you're self-sabotaging. Right. Then somebody else gets it. Now you're depressed because somebody else got the opportunity. When you had the open door, the door was already open for you, but you never walked through it. Right. Now you're depressed. Or now you're angry. You see, I mean, it just never stops unless you deal with the root of a problem. You'll never get anywhere, because a lot of times we use anger and it causes everything else to come right behind it. Right. When we should have just looked at the offense first, dealt with that, and walk right back out. You know what I mean? So I think it's emotional mismanagement.
And so even to go along with that, man. So I want to say this right. So dealing with doors, when you know it's the enemy, the way you kind of know it's the enemy is because the enemy will present a door that doesn't fit you. Like, you know what I mean? The enemy will present a door that you will have to bend or maneuver yourself to get through. It's almost like, as humans, we have human doors, but the enemy will present you a doggy door and have you try to squeeze through something that wasn't meant for you in the first place. Do you know what I mean? And that's where it comes, like you said, the emotional mismanagement. What generally happens is he will have you moving yourself in these emotions that wasn't meant to be on you in the first place.
Wow, that's good.
You know what I mean?
That's good. Hey, let me stop right here. Let me take a commercial break, and when we come back, we're gonna still talk about this emotional mismanagement and how the enemy gets you in one door and out the other. We'll be right back on the next 15. Attention business owners, entrepreneurs, podcast hosts, or even churches. Do you have a product or service that you'd like to advertise to help spread the word and boost sales for your business or organization? Then allow Next 15 Podcast Production to produce your next advertisement with a professional voiceover. We have over 20 years of experience in creating voiceovers for churches, city government departments, and online businesses. Next 15 Podcast Production will assist you with your next project using our professional studio equipment along with our experience. Let us create your next voiceover that will take your business or organization to the next level. Go to next15podcast.com and click on Voiceover Work tab to preview the actual voiceover commercials that were created for our business affiliates. You can also contact us at next15podcast@gmail.com. Next 15 Podcast Production, where voiceovers and businesses simply go together. You're listening to the Next 15 Podcast Show with Trey North on Spreaker.com. Welcome back to the Next 15 Podcast Show. Tonight's topic is doors. If you're just tuning in, thank you so much. On Spreaker or Next15Podcast.com, we have a special studio guest, Pastor Dwayne McAllister, who's actually going to be in Austin, Texas. Actually, he's in Austin, Texas right now, of course, but he's going to be preaching this Sunday at Life Changers Church, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. Andrea, what do you got in the chat room?
First, I want to say hey to Shamika, hey to Bree, hey Erica, hey Tiffany, hey Jacqueline, hey Miss Gail.
Hey, yo.
And hey Vanessa, I saw
Oh,
Vanessa.
yeah, hey Vanessa. Oh, I'm sorry, couldn't forget you. Bree said, be careful when you prematurely open doors. She said, remember how that Robert dude hand got burned when he grabbed the hot door handle on Home Alone? Yes, you remember that.
Yeah, we sure do. You right about that one.
Bree always has a comical way of putting things,
yeah.
but get a good point across all the
does.
time.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, yeah. So earlier before we went to the break, we were talking about emotional mismanagement and how that can lead you through several doors. And I believe Pastor Wayne was coming in with a comment.
No, I was just going to say to Chris, he was like about emotions, and that made me think about the song, emotions make you cry sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When the emotions make you cry sometimes, when those emotions get high, it makes you make irrational decisions.
Oh man, that's
Yes.
good.
So when
Irrational
when your emotions get high, you can make irrational decisions and things that you normally would not have done, now you do. Or things that you would have done, you don't do because of those emotions. So I just was going to say that off of Pastor Chris, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, we have to watch our emotions.
Yeah.
You can go 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah,
can.
you
And
can.
sometimes we let the smallest infraction become distractions.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And we kind of just get off track, man. I mean, most people, I think, when it comes to doors, it's emotional.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
some
yeah.
form of emotion
Yeah.
that they're dealing with. And again, I'm gonna always say, go to the root of the problem. That's the best
Right.
advice, that I can say. And one thing I noticed, like, it's a scripture in Genesis. Oh God, what's it? Oh gosh, I can't remember. As for you, the devil made it for evil, but God meant it for your good. Yeah. I learned something from Stephen Furtick, and I had to write this down from Elevation Church. He said that God doesn't call those things that are bad while it's happening to you good, but he calls it good when it served its purpose.
Wow.
And I thought, man,
That's
that
awesome.
really, that's an awesome word. But a lot of times, we just,
Yeah.
I mean, we're just so I don't know. When it comes to doors, it's just
Well, you talk about you said it earlier, like with the mismanaging of the emotions and stuff of that nature. Sometimes, again, you said dealing with the root of the problem. Sometimes the problem is people don't know what the root of the problem is. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people think that they're dealing with the root, and then they get mad because it's still like there's still a situation. I think I gave this analogy once before. It's almost like you picking the fruit off or an apple off an apple tree, and then you think that you are now done with the apple tree. But what the apple tree is going to do is grow more apples. It is not until you chop the actual trunk of the tree down that it stops producing what it is that's giving you the issue. A lot of people are doing that. A lot of people are praying to God and they're dealing with the fruit, but never dealing with the root. You know what I mean?
That's good.
And so in regards to doors, that's what we do. We think just because we've made it through one door, we dealt with the issue. You know what I mean? And we're like, okay, God, I dealt with the pain, or I've dealt with the pain of let's say loneliness or depression, right? But I haven't dealt with the depression. Like I've dealt with the pain. I've forgiven the person that caused me that pain, and I've walked through that door, but I still haven't dealt with the issue, which is depression. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I feel like in our lives, it's almost like once we get to the point where we begin to understand it, it's almost like it's too late. You know what I mean? We old. Bitterness has set in on both sides, or you know what I mean? We ain't talked in 15, 20 years, and the devil has made up stuff. Now we mad at stuff and we don't even remember what we mad about. You know what I mean? We just mad and we have no idea why we're mad. And sometimes I think that's what we deal with as just individuals.
And I will say this too, Chris, like I think it kind of go back to like what I said earlier about knowing who you are. I think that we need to learn how to learn us and know who we truly are before you get in that relationship, before you take that job. You know what I'm saying? Before you have kids. And the reason I say that is because, of course, you know me, I'm thinking about the word, but I think about when Jesus came and, he was baptized by John the Baptist, the Bible says he immediately went into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. Yeah. And the devil opened up 3 doors. And at each point, Jesus said, no, this is not the door. Now, when he opened up the doors were lavish doors. Except for the one where you told him to jump off the cliff because the angel's going to get you and bring you up, to commit suicide. But I'm just saying, like, when he opened that one door, he was like, if you bow down and worship me, I'll give you all of these kingdoms on earth, which at the particular moment, the enemy had the opportunity to give Jesus that. But Jesus knew who he was and he knew what his purpose was. So he didn't walk through that door, even though that door looked like it was beneficial for him. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So I think that because he knew who he was. And so that's why I say for us, I think that we need to learn and be able to spend more time learning who we are. And you don't learn who you are through Facebook. You don't learn who you are through Instagram. You don't learn who you are through TikToks and all that kind of stuff. I know our social media is out there, but a lot of times these things put out false reality about what's really going on in other people's lives. Right. And you'll sit there and thinking, wow, I wish I could be like them. Wow, I wish I could live like that. Wow. Well, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Right. No more locked doors. No more doors, Leroy. And so learning us when we are in those locked door experiences, we learn who we are. Yeah. So like you said before, Chris, that door doesn't fit me. That's not my door.
Right. And you know what? That's so good, man, because you say that there's one thing that there's a saying out there, that everybody isn't, when it comes to social media, there's a saying that says everybody isn't who they post to be. You know what I mean? Because we've gotten to the point where people are looking at certain doors through social media and thinking that it's going to be one way on that other side. And the enemy has, this next generation and a lot of our generation tricked and fooled and bamboozled because you think that, again, that, everybody has that hashtag, my life hashtag,
YOLO.
Or relationship goals and all that. Like who do you think, like anybody who's been married for any amount of time knows that that's not real. Like, I mean, not saying that marriage, that there aren't great marriages out there. I'm in a great marriage, but what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, like, we know the pain that comes with trying to walk together in agreement. You know what I mean? It is, and that's in anything, in relationships, as marriage, friendships, partnerships, in business. We've all been fooled and bamboozled, and everybody, again, isn't who they supposed to be.
Wow. Andrea, what's going on in the chat room?
Bree said, truth be told, we might be better off than the people we might envy online. Never wish you were somebody else.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
I mean, the best version of you is you.
That's
You
true.
know what I mean?
So, but I have and I agree with that statement 150%. But I think the way my mind works, I'm thinking, but people do it all the time.
Yeah.
So how? So it's like a person you can know the truth, but if you don't act on the truth that you know, what good is the truth? Like, I think people know that, hey, everything might not always look glamorous, but how do I still not want to be that? And for some people it might be easy, but for others not so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can know that, but if I don't do that, it's not doing me no good. But I agree with her 150%.
Right.
Yeah. We'd love to hear from you guys. If you're listening, our line is 512-827-9164. Andrea's putting it up in the chat line as we speak. Let's hear from you guys and see what you guys out there, if you have any comments, you can call in or you can type in the chat. We'd love for you to call in and just rap a taste with you a little bit.
Yeah. I got a question for the table, for the podcast, and for anybody who's listening and willing to call in, and not to ask you about your business, but what door have you ever walked through that you've regretted?
Oh, Jesus.
And let me. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking. I was thinking of an answer to be transparent and open, because a lot of people be like, well, I wouldn't change a thing, because it made me who I am. But you did 20 years in the jail. You know what I mean? Like, did you really want to spend 20 years?
Right.
With Fernando?
Fernando.
I'm just saying, holding his pocket. I mean, I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of an honest answer.
Yeah.
Because I've been through several doors due to emotional mismanagement.
Right.
And I think there are a lot of doors that okay, so I'm going to be hypocritical at this point.
Okay.
Because there are some things that I'm glad I did experience.
Yes.
But it was only because it was to help me in my parenting with my children, or maybe just ministering to somebody else, because listen, let's be real, it's hard to minister on certain things, if you haven't had experience on.
Right.
So what I mean by that is, like, I've never been on drugs. I mean, I smoke weed, but I mean, I've never been on cocaine, so I can't tell you.
I've been on the good stuff.
Can't tell you how the powder, you know what I'm saying, will affect, or I can't tell somebody that's dealing with a drug issue, what they're going through or what's going on in their mind or what they're feeling, because I don't know. You know what I mean? But some of the experiences that I have, I truly am glad and was blessed to come out of it, because again, that scripture, and it was Genesis 50 and verse 20, by the way, about and I pulled it up because I couldn't remember, but it says, "But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God made it unto good to bring pass as it is this day to save much people alive." Yeah. So when I think of that, I think about, man, I have gone through some things that I am glad, but as far as regret, I don't know. I'm gonna have to pass that mic to somebody until I can really just dig, because that's a really good question.
Yeah.
I would say for me, one thing that I feel like, and sometimes I still deal with this, I feel like I missed an opportunity, like a work opportunity, to move to the big city. When I was working in the past, I feel like, and now that I look back on it, I know, for me, what I was going through at the time, maybe that would, like I had mentioned earlier, maybe that wasn't the time for me to do that.
Right.
But at the previous job that I had, I always wanted to. I had the opportunity to go and manage in the city in Dallas.
Yeah.
And I didn't take that opportunity. And I'm I look back now and I'm still where I am. Yeah. But at the same time, I thought about it like this. If I would have took that opportunity back then, would I be, like you said, Trevor, would I be who I am right now? Because me staying had me to go through some things, and it sharpened me on certain things, and it did make me, better on some certain things that whereas if I would have went then, prematurely, maybe.
Yeah.
If I would have went then, I probably wouldn't be who I am today. So, I sometimes I still think about that, like, man, if I would have went then, what would my life have been like? So.
But don't you think that sometimes? I mean, I get in again. I'm back and forth. I'm the devil's advocate, and I'm playing back and forth, and I'm contradicting myself. And,
I got you.
But wouldn't God? Wouldn't you agree that God will give us that grace though, as well, of the unknown? You know what I mean? Like the premature door. Yeah. I mean the grace, and I mean, so what do you say to that person?
Well, to that person or anybody that's thinking in that you have to look at it this way. There's two things that I'm going to present. There's the will of God, and then there's the permissive will of God. Mm-hmm. Okay, the will of God is what God wants for you in its totality and in its bigness and in its fullness. But the permissive will of God is what He allows you to, to experience because you make the choices that you make. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. A lot of people, are operating in the permissive will of God. They walk through doors and they have a certain level of quote unquote success, right? But it is not the success that God wanted them to have in its abundance, right? And so at the end of the day, you could be operating in life, and God is a good God. He gives grace. You know what I mean? And so He will allow things. If that's what you want to do, okay, cool. You can make it big in, let's say here, you can make it big in preaching, Trevor. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I called you to be a great podcaster. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you could have traveled the world. Now you're doing something that's still giving glory to God, but not on the level that you could have done it if you was in the actual will of God. Gotcha. And so that's what I would say to people is understanding the difference between the will of God and His permissive will. And to understand that, you have to understand the doors. You know what I mean? Yeah. That He presents.
Yeah. What you got?
Okay, guys. So Gail in the chat room say the show only for an hour, Chris. You don't have enough time. And Vanessa said, I went for a promotion by leaving a company I was with for years. The new job did not suit me. Bad career move. Thank goodness my other company wanted me to come back. Woo.
Wow. That's awesome. Wow.
Bree also says, speaking of knowing things, the Bible literally says, to him who knows to do right and do it not, to him it is sin. What we know matters. Let's put our knowledge into action.
Wow.
That's good.
Yeah. Both great statements, Vanessa. That's awesome. I mean, to be able to come back. See, that's what I was saying. That to me, that's that grace factor,
right?
That God gives us. So,
but you know what though, too, like I think you said it was Vanessa that made that statement. Like, I think that there's so many people though. There's so many people that don't know that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like. It's cool for us who know that, but like I guess for me, I look at the challenge of how do I get that information out? How do I disseminate that information to others who might not have any hope that don't know that? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They don't know that. So they go into the depressed state, like you mentioned, Trevor, because I didn't know that I could make a different choice. Yeah. I didn't know that I didn't have to just sit back and let life happen to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know that I didn't have to go through that door. I could have did something different. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? I want to be able to be a change, to help people make the change and bring awareness so that okay, hey, this battle isn't over. You might be 45. You might be 50. You know what I'm saying? You might feel like, hey, my life is over. I wasted 30 years of my life. No, you didn't. Wow. You didn't. You can start right now. Wow. And you can make the change, and the next 50 years of your life can be better.
Be your latter year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I felt that.
That's good.
That hit home right there.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm still trying to think on the door, the door with the negative that Chris put out there. Man, I don't know. Man, you kind of You kind of hit me in the head with that one, Pastor Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
Right. I mean, the Bible says that your latter days shall be greater than your former, and that's exactly what to you, Pastor Wayne. Like we always think again that the stuff that we do go through, that there's everything God allows you to go through is a teaching moment.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you go through is teaching moments. So your latter years will be greater. You're not going through the same thing at the age of 50 that a 20-year-old is going through in relationships or in money and finances and careers. You see what I'm saying? You shouldn't. But guess what? The sad fact is there are 50-year-olds out here still.
That's true.
Out here with braids.
You're not going.
I'm just playing.
Or you're not going to just let that workout gym go to your credit. No, because you're trying to get that credit score to be. That's what. But I'm just saying, like those are things that's really important. There's a credit door that you need to go through in order for you to get where you want to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I can't get the JCPenney's card and run it up and then just like, well, just put it on my credit. Wow,
It's not doing so great.
It's like what you want them to do? Staple it to your credit?
Oh, man. Y'all talk to us. It's 512-827-9164. We're talking doors. If you got some knowledge, drop it on us. I know we got some intellectual listeners out there, and they have very good comments. Oh, man. This is great.
Oh, yeah.
This is great.
This is great, ain't it?
Yeah.
It is.
I can't think of nothing negative right now. I'm just over here looking at Chris is in the studio, Dwayne's in the studio, got Andrew in the studio. I'm eating this up.
This is good. Like this is future. You know what I mean? This is, if anybody's listening to this podcast right now, let me be the first to say we told you so. You know what I mean?
When that door open,
that door open,
open.
Trevor, you don't have anything bad to say is because you're like right underneath Jesus.
Man,
You're perfect.
No, that's the problem.
We know the truth.
Okay, guys. Gail in the chat room said, "Woo! I feel like I'm at a vivid point, and a new way of thinking and being is on the horizon." I agree, Gail.
What else in there? I know they probably just going at it, man.
I know we got some great listeners.
I know. I just love it, man. Okay, so we talked about emotional doors, but I want to skate back because at the beginning we were talking about like the positive doors. So let's talk about those doors, because no, every door is not a bad door,
right?
You know what I mean? Just kind of like what Vanessa was talking about. You know, she went through that. Remember, again, she entered the door, but she went right back out of it, and her other job wanted her back.
Right.
So I mean, let's talk about that. The positive doors.
I mean, I think the positive doors they're out there. Like you mentioned, to me in Vanessa's situation, it was positive that the previous employer was still open and available for her to come back. But here, being a manager myself, this is what I think about. That means, Vanessa, that you were such a viable asset and you left the right way.
Come on.
So that you left a good impression on that organization, that when you found out, I left a little bit too early or that wasn't a fit, they were welcoming, like, we need somebody like you to come back. So so to me, I feel like it's very important of how you leave any situation. You leave, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whatever it is, you leave with integrity. Because your integrity is what's going to be able to bring you back, as our parents used to say, you don't ever want to burn bridges.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think those open doors like that, kind of going back to that trade, I think, and also the grace of God, which the grace of God has still allowed her the opportunity to come back. But on to other good doors, like positive doors. When you know that you know that you know, those are those doors. You know, when God gives you, when God gives you that inkling, I'll use me for an example. There was a position at my job. I started out my job as a regular supervisor, right? And I had been there for a while, and I was going through some stuff at this job. You know what I mean? And here's how I knew. I was going through some things with this job, and this job had told me, like, hey, you know what? You got 2 weeks. And I'm like, wait a minute. I got a wife and kids, you know. But and this person told me I got 2 weeks. I said, you know what? I'm gonna give you the best that I can. Like I said about having integrity. Anyway, long story short, probably like 6, 8, 9 months later down the road, the same person. And I'm plugging along, doing what I'm doing. The same person that told me that came back to me and said, I seen what you've been doing. And I want to promote you to a higher level.
Yeah.
I wasn't begging for it.
Yeah.
I didn't put in my name in the application for it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't going, and I didn't go around bashing the company or anything like that. And so, but even when that person offered me that position, I still had to go and pray and like, okay, God, like, is this what you want me to do? And I feel like when it comes to an open door, I think we should. The Bible says that we're supposed to trust in the Lord with all of our heart, lean not to our own understanding, but in all of our ways acknowledge Him, and that He would direct the path. So that's what I did. So I would say for open doors, good doors, even though they may be good, to Chris's point, you still want to acknowledge Him, so that He can let you know that's the door you need to go through.
Right.
That's
I
what
also feel like sometimes that God will push you whenever you take too long. His grace, His love for you, He'll push you through a door.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Like, you just standing there, you're like, I don't know what to do, and He'll cause something to happen. Maybe you to lose that job to go to the next one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so yeah, I like that.
Okay, guys. Gail in the chat room said 50 is around the corner, and I know life will be different because some things no longer serve me. I have to go through the doors God has for me. And Shamika and Tiffany said, "Don't burn your bridges." Bree said, "Don't burn your edges either."
Because you can't get them back.
Alopecia.
That's a short road right there.
That's definitely a closed door.
A locked door.
Okay, and then Vanessa said we have to be paying attention. If we are not seeking opportunities, we'll miss it. And that's it for the chat room right now.
Oh, okay. The music went. I'm like, what happened? Are we still live? Is this thing on?
Oh, I'm sorry. Shamika said He gives us positions we didn't even apply for.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He'll make room for our gifts, or our gifts make room for us actually. But man, this is good.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
I almost want to shut it down. I don't want to shut it down. It's because my boy is here. My boy D Mac is here.
I don't even know what time it is.
It's 40 past the hour.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all. Yeah. 512-827-9164. Come on out there. If you got anything you want to add and help somebody, listen, your voice can be heard on this podcast. It'll be played over and over and over forever. While it's out there. Hey, you never know what you'll do to be helping somebody at 512-827-9164. If nothing else, I want to wrap it up, but I'm not going to shut it down. I want to talk about what's going on at Life Changers Church this Sunday, Pastor Chris, and then
I'll shoot it over. Absolutely, man. Okay, so one thing, man, I'm so excited for this weekend. If you're anywhere in the surrounding areas here in the great city of Austin, Texas, Pflugerville, Cedar Park, wherever you may be, South Austin, North Austin, East Austin, wherever you may be, if you are anywhere near, I would like to see you at Life Changers Church this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Why? Because Pastor Wayne will be giving an awesome word on Sunday morning, and listen, you don't want to miss it. If you want to know some of the men that I look up to in my life and my ministry, you say that I have a good word, well, this is one of the guys I listen to receive a good word, and so you don't want to miss it. So I'm going to pass him the mic because you just got to hear this dude, man.
Wow. So it's crazy to hear your little brother say stuff like that about you, but I mean, I'm definitely excited, and it kind of takes me back to Andrew, what me and you were talking about before the show. I feel like I'm just a real person, and I think that's what, especially in our world today, we need to be real. And people, saved or unsaved, need to see the real us. They need to see a real Savior. They need to see a real God. We got people getting killed prematurely, social injustice. Our world is just, in a mess, and we need to see stability. And in my personal opinion, you can't see stability when people are putting on the front. and they're putting on a show. That's
good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, that's one thing that I can always appreciate from our circle of friends. Everything is genuine. This podcast has always been genuine. There's nothing
Yeah.
been written, pre-scripted, or anything like that. We just get on the mic, and this is how we talk in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just sharing it with you all. So I appreciate like the transparency in people. I love, and I cling more to genuine people versus to the ones that you know are trying to impress you or be somebody that they're not, because you can tell in due time. I mean, you know, it'll always, the colors will come out anyway. So, yeah. Did you tell everybody how to get to the church?
So listen, our address is going to be 15020 North I-35 Frontage Road, Austin, Texas 78727. And again, if you can't make it, and I understand, you can hit us up on our social media platforms, on Facebook at LCC Austin, on Instagram at LCC Austin, or live on YouTube at Life Changers, all one word, then Austin. That is Life Changers, all one word, then Austin. 10:30 a.m. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it.
Andrea, you got any final comments or something you wanted to say, add to the podcast? I know you've been dibbling and dabbling in the chat room, but I didn't want to leave here without giving you opportunity.
You're so sweet. But I want to...
That was fake.
Exactly.
She just got kicked out the group.
No authenticity.
Y'all can't do me like that. But Miss Jacqueline said, y'all stepping on toes. She said 55 is right around the corner for her, and she is ready for that door.
Yeah.
But I don't have
Thank
no
God you got 5 more toes.
Oh man, final comments, Pastor Wayne, before we get out of here.
No, I'm just excited, man. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be here to listen and to talk, man. And I'm excited, man. Want to see y'all on Sunday.
Yeah, Pastor Chris, comment, doors.
Dude, this has been a great podcast, man. We always do a great job, but this one here, man, it's up there. You know, and what I say is, Pastor Wayne said something, and I'm gonna exit on that. Is at the end of the day, be cognizant of how you walk out of doors.
Yeah.
Because the way you walk out is just as important as the way you walk in.
It's good.
Yeah, man. I would just have to say, hey, listen, don't let emotions dictate to you life. Emotions have dictated to us in making our choices, and we have been putting ourselves in that emotional mismanagement. Deal with the root of the problem. You know, if it's an offense, somebody upset you, then go to that person and let it go. You know, whether you're sad, you're hurt, deal with that emotion so that you don't be taken down this roller coaster and all through this maze that the enemy puts you in, you know, so that you can't exit out the original door that you came from. So I just would have to say that. Listen, guys, we've enjoyed the show tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in at next15podcast.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter at Next15 Podcast. Thank you for being a subscriber. Listen, if you enjoy what we do here, go to Next15Podcast.com. Listen, we be up all night, all the time. You can click that Buy Me Coffee tab if you want to support the podcast. We appreciate it. We thank you so much. Thank you to everybody in the chat room for participating. You guys are so awesome. You're so intellectual, and your comments, they really do help us, and it helps make the podcast better. Hey, I want to give a shout out to my mom, Stella B. North. Hey,
Stella!
Hey, Mom.
She gonna shut this whole podcast down. She done told y'all.
I know. Same as my mama. I can't say Willie Mae, but I can say it tonight because she ain't here. Willie Mae.
Thank y'all for tuning in to the Next 15 Podcast. We do this every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is Trey North, Chris McAllister, Andrea, and our co-host tonight, Dwayne McAllister. We'll see you guys on the Next 15.